Hey everyone, I'm Karen Putz here. Welcome to Midlife and Beyond Reinvention. I have a really special guest here today, and I've been saying that just about everybody, but Debra is definitely special. I met Debra probably, I think, 10 years ago when she revived her Yes to Success workshop. And I sat in the front row and I just soaked it all in. It was my first workshop that I had ever attended that was self-help, self-growth. I had never experienced anything like that before. So for me to experience a Yes to Success workshop, it was mind-blowing for me. And I can tell you that the stuff that I learned 10 years ago from Debra at Yes to Success is still imprinted in my mind today. I use those principles, apply them. I still have my original vision board from 10 years ago. I pulled it out to show my son recently, and every single thing on that vision board came true, including being in the O magazine 3 times. And I have 3 O magazines printed on there. So I am learning to test it bigger with my current vision board. So I'm learning to play the boundaries a little bit bigger with vision. Yeah. So we'll see what happens. So welcome, Debra, to this.
Thank you. Did you have on your vision board to be on the Today Show? Because you were. Wasn't it Today or Good Morning America? Today?
My second vision board. And I had Today's Show on there, and I was on the Today Show.
Okay, everyone, you hear that? It works.
Now I'm learning to ask for a little more money than I asked the first time.
That's right, because I always say that your ceiling is just the creator's floor.
That's true. That is so true. And I think a lot of us hold back. We hold back with our vision because our rational mind says, oh, that's impossible. Oh, that's silly. That will never happen. So we hold back.
Yeah, and the reason is because our minds are so filled with lies that we were told by people who we believed, like our parents and our teachers and our clergy and the people or the media, that certain people with certain skin color, born in certain parts of the country, different abilities, or what they call disabilities. You can't. And it's drilled in and it's drilled in. Then an opportunity comes to us and it has to filter through the filter of those lies. So the first thing is to look at those people and think, do you really want to believe them? Do you want your life to look like their lives? And it's like, no. So why would you believe the lies that they told you? So, another reason that people hold themselves back is because they're afraid what other people might think if they fail. And it's so crazy because it's like you're thinking about, okay, I'm not going to do that because what if I don't succeed? And then people are going to think this, and this about me. The truth is, I hate to break the news to you, no one's really thinking about you. You're not that important to them.
That was a profound lesson. I remember you saying that.
And so we're holding ourselves back because of what somebody might think if in case they were thinking about you when they're not even thinking about you and you're stopping your life because of that. Life is made up of successes and failures, but failures aren't failures. They're just ways not to do a thing next time. And if anybody does think badly about you, then they're not your friend. Then they're not somebody you want in your life. So why would you hold yourself back based on what you think somebody might think?
That is so true. That's so true. And I think that is a profound thing because many people do hold back thinking, what would they think of me? Or, I don't want to publicly fail. So they don't want to start. They don't want to try because, it would be really embarrassing if nobody showed up to the webinar, nobody bought your product, or you couldn't do anything, or you lost a lot of money, or ended up bankrupt. So we tend to think of all the negative things. Well, what if we got rid of all of that and focused on what could happen that's amazing, that's joyful, that's successful? It requires us to shift in that direction.
That's exactly right. And the things that people think about you aren't you anyway, it's them. It's a mirror. They're seeing if you have some weakness, it's because it's a weakness in them and they see it. So they focus on that. But for you, they don't know. Like, for example, comfort zone. If this is our comfort zone, we tend to play inside our comfort zone, live inside our comfort zone, right? But for you, going here might be a big deal, right? And then what happens is you do that scary thing, and now your comfort zone is this big because it really wasn't even scary. So then you do something here, and it was really pretty easy. So now your comfort zone is this big. And if somebody else sees you doing this, and it's like, oh, that's all they did. Well, it's they're judging themselves because they're afraid to move outside their comfort zone. So really, we just have to start going inside, asking ourselves, bypassing the mind and going into the heart. The mind judges, the mind analyzes, the mind sees what could go wrong, the heart sees what could go right, the heart sees the growth, the heart sees the excitement. And so I actually tell people to move their attention when they want to make a decision from your head into your physical heart. And I ask for guidance, from the God of your understanding, whatever that might be, from the angels, if you believe in angels, from, the ancestors. There's so many energies that you could call on for guidance that are just waiting to give you that guidance. That's their job. They can't wait until you ask them, but you have to ask.
That is so true. So very true. You have to ask. And I love what you said about the mind and the heart, the difference. I always tell people that the mind will tell you 1,001 reasons why you can't, but the heart will show you the way. So who are you going to listen to? And so I always tell myself, am I making a decision with my rational mind, or am I looking into the heart for the guidance? So, and I have to say, at yesterday's chat, you had us fill out 100 lists. You remember that? And I still to this day, this big 100 list that we were filling out. And I remember going to the bathroom, and on your table, you had American Idol, Chicken Soup for the Soul that you edited. You told us the story about that.
Yeah, I actually wrote it. It's a great example of writing down a goal that's like a crazy goal. And you don't need to know the how. That's why I have people write 100 things to have, be, and do. I used to have those big posters. Now I don't, because everything's online. So it's like 50 things to have, be, and do, but it's okay. So, and I tell people, don't think about how you're going to do a thing. If you want a best-selling book, write down best-selling book. If you want your soulmate, write down soulmate, write down the qualities in the soulmate. You don't even have to put how I, live out in the country and it's COVID and this. Don't give me all the reasons. Just put your order into the cosmic order taker, right? So when I first learned this back in 1980, that you should just write down with the what, don't think about the how. I wrote down that I wanted to write a best-selling book. Okay. I didn't know what I wanted to write about. And then I utilized some of the other principles of success that I teach. Like one of the principles that I teach is to treat everybody is the most important person in the world. Don't judge. Don't think, oh, well, they're, like an old person. Oh, they're too young to help me out. Oh, they talk too much. Oh, look at the way they're dressed. We judge. So what I say is the person standing in front of you at any given moment is always the most important person in the world and deserves to be treated that way. So fast forward, I'm giving a Yes to Success seminar years after I learned that concept of don't worry about the how, just know what you want and the answers will come to you. And I'm teaching Yes to Success, and this young girl, college student, comes up to me and says, I want to be your assistant. I want to be your assistant. I said, excuse me. I said, aren't you in college? And she said, I'll quit. And I said, maybe you should talk to your parents about that. But then she started sharing all of these ideas with me as to, I gave her my full attention. I didn't think, well, what could this little college student do for me, and start looking around the room for somebody more important to talk to. No. So I gave her my full attention. Then she starts sharing all these ideas that she has for getting Yes to Success more on the map. I'm thinking, this kid is brilliant. In the meantime, she did quit school. She did come and become my secretary assistant. And about 20 years later, she became the #1 nonfiction woman author of all times, because she was the woman's face of Chicken Soup. No, that was Chicken Soup, not Janet. Janet was the next one. This was Marcy. This was Marcy. Janet's my next story. But Marcy, that was Marcy Shimoff. And she sold 16 million Chicken Soup books.
I never knew that part of the story.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
Chicken Soup for the woman soul, Chicken Soup for the mother soul, Chicken Soup for the couple soul, Chicken Soup for the same. She wrote all those books, Chicken Soup for the pet lover soul, whatever. So what happened was that they asked her to write Chicken Soup for the American Idol soul, but she was under contract for Happy for No Reason. So they said, well, do you know anybody else who knows American Idol backwards and forwards and is a great writer? And she's, yes, I do. And I was handed a best-selling book to write. I mean, lay down bestseller, Chicken Soup, combining the #1 book series of all times and the #1 reality TV show of all times, American Idol. So I had written, 25 years before that I wanted a bestseller book. Did I know it was going to be Chicken Soup and American? That didn't even exist then, but I knew I wanted a best-selling book and I wrote it down. So I say it's like putting your order into life and then all the order takers. But then what you have to do is you have to grasp the opportunity. And one other thing I'm going to add to this, the reason why I knew American Idol backwards and forwards is because also I followed my passion, which is what you teach. And when I was teaching Yes to Success, it was hugely successful. I was teaching it, and this is in the early 1980s, 12 major cities in the US. I had reps teaching it in 7 countries internationally, decades before the internet. This was snail mail, and when I'm having all of these thoughts. Was I going to tell you about Marcy? I forgot. I lost my train of thought.
Mm-hmm. Well, okay, so you got handed the contract for American Idol, Chicken Soup for the Soul.
Yes. Well, anyway, I'll just go. Oh, I know what it was. I remember what it was. So I was at the peak of my career. I was about to have my own daytime TV talk show. My Yes to Success book was in the hands of a New York publisher, and I gave it all up. And that's the point that I wanted to make, is that the reason I knew American Idol backwards and forwards is because at the peak of my success, I took my head, my thoughts, and I moved down to my heart. when my little girl was born, and I thought, I don't want to teach this anymore. I don't want to travel around. I don't want to go to 12 major cities. I don't want to tape a TV show. I want to be home with my baby. And I gave up my career to be a mom at home. And there I stayed for, well, 18 years. And then my son was born, so 21 years. But when Marcy called me and asked me to write Chicken Soup for the American Idol soul, the only reason I knew American Idol backwards and forwards is because what does a mom at home do with their tweens besides sit and watch American Idol? So it was because I gave up what seemed to be my dream to follow my real dream, which was just to be with my babies. And then I was handed the best-selling book to write because I didn't think I acted from my heart.
And it all comes together in a way that we cannot even predict. We can only start it, but the universe finishes it for us.
Right.
So that's why it's so important to know with clarity who you are, what you want, how you want to live, not how it's going to happen. That's a big difference, you know. And I remember at your That's Just Your Shots, I was coming back from the bathroom and I passed by that book that I'm Chicken Soup for the American Idol Soul. So I went back to my seat and I wrote, I am a Chicken Soup for the Soul author. I wrote that down 10 years ago. 10 years ago. Went home, kind of forgot about the list. Pulled it out maybe 3 months later, because I think we had it in January. So I believe it was in May when I pulled it back out. And I'm looking at the list and I'm like, Chicken Soup for the Soul, well, that's never going to happen unless I take some action. I mean, how are they going to find me? So right then and there, I sat down, pulled up the website, and there it was, Chicken Soup for the Soul, Find Your Happiness. Sat there, typed it out, took me about an hour, looked it over one time, sent it off, and I let go. You teach that about letting go and see how it's delivered to you. Lo and behold, in June, email in my box. You have potentially been chosen for Chicken Soup for the Soul, potentially. And then the next email came in, you are a Chicken Soup for the Soul author, just like that. The next thing I knew, I had a box of 10 books being sent to my house. And that was my introduction to manifestation, how it really happens. And over the last 10 years, it's been amazing. I'm still learning, I'm still a student, still, you know, dealing with the energies and the thoughts and, you know, still having those challenges to learn from, those teachings that you talk about.
Yeah. And also when those doubts come in, and they will, you know, we just say to them, you are not welcomed here. And then get a vision of what you do want. Do you know? And also the other thing that I always tell people is when you have an idea, like I'm going to be a Chicken Soup author, I'm going to submit a story, don't tell a bunch of people what you're going to do, right? Because I always say sacred and secret come from the same root. What is sacred must be kept secret, and your precious ideas are sacred. So don't go around telling everybody what you're going to do, because you'll bump up against the discouragement committee who will tell you, oh, you know, thousands of people submit stories to Chicken Soup and they just pick a handful, don't even bother. That's the discouragement committee. So why would you share your ideas when they're tiny seeds that can easily be crushed with people who are going to tell you the reasons why it's not going to work? So your sacred ideas, keep them to yourself, but then take steps.
That's hard to do. That is hard to do sometimes, really hard to do. Mm-hmm.
It is.
Let me ask you, because for those of you who have read my book, Unwrapping Your Passion, Debra is one of the people who wrote the foreword on that. which leads me to ask you what the word passion, what does it mean to you? And how do you define passion?
Yes, and it's interesting because you picked up Janet's book, because Janet Atwood, who is the founder of the Passion Test, right, was another person who came to Yes to Success and cognized the Passion Test at Yes to Success. She talks about it in her book. And actually, she was my secretary assistant for a while as well. Marcy became my secretary assistant, and then Janet, because I needed to, because I got really busy. And then she also became a New York Times bestselling author, also using the principles that she learned. But in terms of what is passion, it's like, what lights you up? Like you were telling me that you and your family were playing volleyball, sand volleyball, and the way you were talking about it's like, I just knew it was your passion, one of your passions. You don't just have one, you have a bunch, because you lit up when you started talking about it. One, because you love your family so much.
Well, I used to be, I was on the Deaf Olympic volleyball team, and I dropped out to have my kid. Go figure. And now we're all playing together. It was so funny. And I no longer have the Olympic skills that I used to have. Let's just say it's gone way down. But the fun is priceless.
Yeah. And if you want to have a very rich life, those things, people say, oh, I don't know what my passion is. Well, first of all, to live your passion, it doesn't necessarily have to be your vocation. It doesn't necessarily have to be what you do day in and day out. Maybe your vocation is right now financially supporting you so that you can, maybe you're a volleyball player and you love it so much and it gives you so much joy, but you're not a professional so you're not getting those sponsorships or paid. So you're a legal secretary. That's okay. Just go to work every day filled with gratitude that you have a way to make money to support that thing that you love. And sometimes people say to me, I don't even know what I love. I don't even know what my passions are. I say, first of all, you do, and you are suppressing it because you think that it has to be the way you make money. No, it's what brings you joy. And if you don't know what your passions are, think about what you loved as a kid. Like my son is a perfect example, right? He loved basketball from the minute he could walk. Before he could walk, he'd be holding on and throwing the little ball at his little Fisher-Price basket. And, when he was on what's called small fry, when he was a little guy, he was on a small fry team. He just loved basketball. It was his passion. I don't know where it came from, but it was his passion. Also, actually, his dad played basketball, and he stopped growing when he was 5'10". So it wasn't like he was going to go play in college or go into the NBA. He was a good player, but not a fabulous player. But he loved the world of basketball. So he started a nonprofit where he got basketball scholarships for kids on the south and west sides of Chicago. And to date, he's raised over $60 million in college scholarships for kids in Chicago. And he is involved in basketball. And then he started his own sports agency, and now he represents NBA players and also NFL players. They expanded, and he's in the world that he loves. So what is it that discouragement committee told you couldn't do? Did they say musicians never make it, visual artists never make it, dancers never make it? You can't, go get a real job. You can't be a drummer. I'll tell you one other very quick story. My brother-in-law, my former husband, Fred, wonderful Fred.
Yeah.
His brother always had an ear for music, and he wanted to be like an agent, manager, music promoter. And his parents said, nobody makes it in that field. Computers, go to school in computers. And they said to him that they would pay for him to go to college if he majored in computers, right? Maybe he's even graduate school. I think it was graduate school. And he was all set to give up his dream. And he came to Yes to Success. And he said, that's it. I don't care if they cut me off, they don't give me money. I am pursuing my dream of being a music agent. And not long after that, he discovered this little group in a coffee shop in Seattle called Nirvana. And he signed Nirvana. He started a record label called Sub Pop, and Eddie Vedder. I mean, so many of the big names that we know were on Uncle John's label. He sold his, 49% of his company to Warner Brothers, like 20, 25 years ago, for more millions than I could even remember, 20, 30 million, because he pursued his passion and he didn't give it up because the discouragement committee said nobody makes money in music management.
But I think it's because of your encouragement and the way Yes to Success is set up that he got that clarity. And that's the number one most important thing, is that clarity, understanding who you are, what you're about, and what you want. And when you have that, that is that stepping stone that gets you up to the success.
That's right.
Wow, we covered quite a bit here, and it's just awesome. So let me ask you this. We're wrapping up on our time. Two questions come to mind. The first one is, what would you tell somebody who feels like it's over for their dreams, it's too late, maybe they're older, the second half of their life, the midlife and beyond, and thinking, well, it's too old for the degree, too late for the new job, too late for my dreams, and they're just going through the routine of life, maybe a little too much Netflix, and they've basically given up. Life is good, but it's a whole hum, and they don't think that they can do anymore. They're basically waiting to die. What would you tell them?
Okay. First of all, I do want to say that not everybody has to aspire to be on the cover of Time magazine or, have a #1 podcast or, people are content with their lives, playing with their grandchildren. That's okay. Don't beat yourself up about that. Don't make yourself wrong because your best friend from high school just started another business at the age of 70. Okay. Don't beat yourself up. Don't make yourself wrong. It's a beautiful, beautiful life to just, if you have the luxury of being retired, of, being with your friends, being with your grandchildren, God bless you. Okay. Don't have to make excuses for that. But if there's an emptiness in your life and you feel like there's more for you to do, there are so many things. I think that one of the things that you need is a mastermind group, like a group of friends. You can pull them together and say, hey, we all have dreams. Instead of sitting around just talking about them, let's hold each other accountable. Every week, we're going to meet and we're going to share with each other, but make sure it's not discouragement committee people. Make sure it's people who are your cheerleaders. And one of the rules is whatever anybody says their dream is or what they're going to do, you are not allowed to say, no, that one's not going to work. That's too big. No, what you want to encourage people to do is think even bigger. But when 2 or more are gathered, okay, so get your friends together. You can do it on Zoom. So that's one thing, because, in isolation, it's a little bit harder but the other thing that you have to do is just, when you have a dream, it has its own momentum, but you have to take a step. You can't steer a parked car. You got to move it out of the driveway and just get going on your dream, whatever it is. Even if you're not sure how to do it, maybe you're not sure the direction. Maybe you have a roadmap. You live in Rochester and you want to go to Chicago. Okay. And you want to have a map, but as you're driving there, maybe there's a roadblock. So you have to go off course, but you do have your ultimate goal in mind. What you have to do is not give up just because there's a roadblock. It's not like, oh, Chicago doesn't exist. There's a roadblock. I'm going to stop. I'm going to turn around. No, figure out how to get around it, right? Because Chicago does exist. And the creator isn't a trickster. The creator, the God of your understanding, would not give you a desire without giving you the ability to fulfill it. The creator doesn't say, here's what I think you can do, and you'd be really happy doing this, but not going to give you the ability to do it. Joke's on you. No, that isn't what the creator does. With the desire, it's kind of like the oak tree is inside the acorn. In that acorn, in that desire, it contains everything you need to bring it to incredible fruition. But you got to start moving towards it. You got to get the car out of the driveway, and then you could course correct. But your dreams want you as much as you want them, because our desires are implanted in our hearts, and they're all different and they're all needed. It's like it's the dream that only you can fulfill, the contribution to the planet that only you can make. We're waiting for it.
I love it. I love that. So let's wrap up with one more thing. I mean, you've been doing this whole, personal self-growth thing for a long time. When you look back, share a profound lesson that comes to mind that can wrap us up.
I would say the most profound lesson is, there's so many. I'm trying to think of the most profound. Because I've shared them. Don't share what is sacred must be kept secret. I have had times where I've told people too early what I was going to do, and boom, seed crushed by discouragement committee. So that's one. Another thing I would say is that an idea is given to you by the God of your understanding, because that thing needs to be manifested on the planet at this time for the world to work. So I would say that when you have an idea, it's a gift from the creator. And I mean, how many of you listening have had a great idea? You didn't act on it. Somebody else did, and they became very successful with your idea. So an idea comes to you as a gift, and you owe it to the God of your understanding to get going on it, because it's needed, not just for your life to be incredible, but the world needs your idea. And again, I'm going to tell you one more story. Okay. You know who Barbara DeAngelis is? She was a New York Times bestselling author, wrote a lot of books. And you know who John Gray is? He wrote Men on Mars. And they were married for many years. Then they got divorced. And one year, maybe, I don't know, 20, 25 years ago, I was at an event where he was speaking and she was speaking. Okay, but they weren't together. He gave his talk, and when he was done, hundreds of people ran to the back of the room to sign up for his thing. Okay, then she gave her talk, and after she was done, maybe a dozen people went to the back of the room, not even, maybe 10. So I said to her, she was a dear friend, I said, how does it make you feel? when, hundreds of people run back and sign up for John's, because I wanted to know, and 10 people sign up for your program. And she looks at me like this, literally goes, what do you mean? How does it make me feel? My heart is overflowing with gratitude that 10 people have found their teacher. It's not the numbers. It's in the Talmud, it says, you change one life, you've changed the world. So just know that not everybody is supposed to, be a Mahatma Gandhi or be a Nelson Mandela or be a, Barack Obama. But what we want to do is just make our contribution and be so happy that we changed one life. Who knows what that person is going to go out and do?
It only takes one. Yeah. Wow, Deborah, thank you so much for spending time here and sharing so much of your wisdom. I'm so glad that other people get to see you in action. You have been so profound in my life. And there's so many of your lessons that have made me who I am today.
Thank you. And it was so funny at the beginning of this, you said, we'll just talk like we're having coffee. And then I was thinking, last time we were together, we had French fries.
True, we did.
I love you so much. And we got to be together again. Thank goodness for Zoom. So at least we can be together like this.
All right. Thank you.